and talk about whatever's on your mind today. I've got an appointment this morning, so I had to jump on here a little bit earlier than normal. I usually start at 10. Today I might go a little past 10, but we'll see how things are going with the conversation, see what we can hash out, see what we can work out with our drinking, with our sobriety, whatever's going on in our lives. Um, so we'll go from there. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Josh, living life alcohol free. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here and subscribing. Today, I want to talk a little bit about alcohol and my thoughts on whether it's good, it's bad, it's whatever. See what your thoughts on alcohol are. We know that there's benefits in drinking, especially for social issues, especially, because it kind of calms our nerves down, kind of lets us get loose a little bit, not feel so tight. It does. It takes the edge off. It makes us feel a little bit less self-conscious. Makes us, helps us in certain ways. It is a temporary stress reliever. It is a social lubricant. It is, it is these things, and those are the benefits. If you have any other benefits that you want to add to this conversation that alcohol provides for you, please share it with the group. I'm open to discussing any of this. But there's issues with alcohol. I mean, especially if we become addicted, and if we're drinking, we are susceptible to addiction. And no matter how much we're drinking, if we just drink a little bit, any of us are susceptible to falling into patterns of addiction. So that's just the first part. That's just the first bad part. What happens after that, is just icing on the cake. I mean, we have health issues. It's been proven over the last few years that no amount of alcohol is beneficial, because it leads to several different types of cancers. It obviously leads to liver disease and liver issues. But it can also, start shutting down all of our organs. I mean, if we are drinking to oblivion, there is a chance that it's gonna impact our health in many ways. Good morning, guys. Welcome in. So we're just talking about some of our experiences with alcohol. I mean, does alcohol get a good rap? Yeah. I mean, it's so used in our society, and I mean, I used it because it was accepted. I mean, if you didn't drink, you weren't normal. But I didn't drink like a normal person would drink. I don't have one or two or even six. I drink until I'm done. I drink and I'm chasing that buzz. I'm chasing uh, that escape. I'm chasing these things that are really never in our grasp. It's leaving reality is possible, but it's only possible for a short time. Uh, and I mean, I knew that, but at the same time, it didn't matter. But I mean, one was too many, and 1,000 was never enough. Somebody said that was a song title the other day, and I thought, I'll look that up. And it was this Irish singer, and I think the saying is old, but it's so true. I mean, if we have one, we are uh, susceptible to addiction. And I had another person comment on my video yesterday and say that he said that my therapist, I forgot the exact word that he used, but he said that clueless. Your therapist must be clueless. You have one drink and you're a totally different person. And that wasn't the message that I was trying to get out there. It was more or less like one drink can change our brain chemistry, and it really does. And I have a book that I read that if you guys are interested in, I can put it down in the comments. But and talk about it. It helps explain just why people that are can get addicted to alcohol, and just exactly how it messes with our brain chemistry, and even just one. So if we have one, if we're one and done, I mean that's whatever. But I think that if you can just not drink, it's and you feel better, then why not just roll with that? I mean, this is not a linear experience, sobriety. It really isn't. It's jagged. Um, it's different for everybody. It Hey, Quentin, welcome back. Um, if you have experienced what addiction's like, you know that once you're in that cycle, it's next to impossible to get out. And I mean, that's where I say, I mean, I go to functions, I go to parties, I go to these places. People are drinking. I used to worry about going to those places. I used to think about, do I even want to go to this? And for a while, I didn't even bother going. But then I reached a point where I'm like, I need to be okay with being around people that are drinking, because this isn't going away. Our society glorifies alcohol, and we're always going to be have situations where we need to be somewhere where there's alcohol being served or being drunk or whatever. Um, and if we can be there and not get FOMO, I mean, I used to fear missing out. I used to have fear of missing out. I mean, I felt like, man, I used to drink beer all the time, and I just loved the whole ritual of it. And when I would go and watch people drinking beer out of a keg, or I remember taking a tour of somebody's house once, and he had like a beer cave in his basement with like 100 different craft beers, all different kinds, and feeling a little bit jealous, you know. Um, and this person seemingly had everything all together, very fit, good career, nice house, in a nice neighborhood, and like just everything seemed to be going well. And when I look at that and I think, is it possible that that person would end up addicted to alcohol the way that I was and just destroy everything in his life? Yeah, it's a possibility, but why even bother contemplating that? I mean, it's just a time waster, and I don't, I'm not going to end up saying anything to this person. It's just my experience with alcohol. I drank so much that I feared that I was gonna my anger and my irritability and my inebriation was going to affect my family life, and I mean, it did. Um, but I mean, I'm not a different person just because I'm sober. I still have issues where I get angry. I still get irritable. I mean, I'm a human being like anybody else. Um, Quentin says alcohol does not just destroy oneself, but everything if you allow it. Um, yeah, I mean, if you like my therapist also said, alcoholism is a disease of volition. So if we're actively drinking, we're in it and we're making that choice. But if we're able to get out of it and get some sober time, we're able to look back at our drinking rationally and see that, first off, we didn't really have control over it. But if we go back into it, then we are allowing the addiction back in, and it's our choice. We can allow it back in, or we can leave it out. Um, I saw the benefits of sobriety pretty quickly. I mean, the longest I went from the age 19 to age 42 without drinking was 8 days, and that was the longest. and that was usually just because I had a hangover. I was I feeling terrible, and I would go a couple days without it, and that I started to feel good, and then I was like, I'm not going to drink again for a while. And I'm just going to give it a little bit more time, and then I'd have 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. I mean, before I knew it, I had a week, but I wasn't really doing anything to stay in that mindset. So the benefits of alcohol started to creep back in, and I didn't have the tools yet to be able to fight off those feelings, those thoughts of how good alcohol was. And I learned through my sobriety that was called fading effect bias, FAB, and it's when we start to forget about all the shit that alcohol put us through and just only think about the good things that alcohol, how it made us feel, how good it made us feel, how it took the edge off of our stress, how it helped us kind of escape our day, our stressful relationships, our jobs, whatever it is that we're using alcohol to cope with. It helped us kind of forget those things. But the fading effect bias is real, and people are um, dealing with this like 6 months after they stop drinking. I didn't have that, but it's real. There's people, and that book that I read, it does explain that. So Quentin says, with sobriety, do you believe uh, after constantly tell yourself you're an alcoholic? Do you believe? I'm not sure I understand the question, but I guess, do I tell myself and I'm an alcoholic? I never used that terminology. I've used it just for like YouTube titles. I don't particularly care too much to use like terms like that, because it kind of gives a stigma, and I feel like it kind of makes people feel judged or feel like they're less than, or so, and then that can keep people in addiction. Um, and so I wouldn't do that to other people, so I don't do that to myself. Um, but I mean, it does. I mean, people still use that terminology, so I mean, it's a real thing. If people want to use those terms, that's fine with me. I wouldn't consider myself an alcoholic or a recovering alcoholic. I mean, I'm in recovery, and actually, I heard somebody talk about how you're in remission if you're sober, if you have years sober, that you're in remission from the disease of alcoholism. And now they call it AUD, alcohol use disorder, and obviously it sounds nicer, and I would say that I fell under that category of drinking, where um, it was I didn't use alcohol as like a normal person, whatever normal is. For me, I would consider someone who would have one drink and be done like a normal drinker. But then again, are they even a drinker? You know what I mean? Are they even um, considered a drinker? I wouldn't even consider them much of a drinker. Um, like my best friend can have a beer and that's it and be done. But even he says, I don't feel like great after I have that one beer. Like it makes you want to reach for water because you feel dehydrated. And imagine drinking one after another, and then you drink, 10, 12 drinks, and then you wake up the next day. I had another member comment that somebody he was at a wedding. There was another person drinking out of the keg or something, and he said, aren't you going to drink? And he said, no, man, I'm not drinking today. And he's like, well, why not? And he said, because I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. The first thing I'm not going to reach for is a glass of water. And isn't that so true? I mean, we wake up, we're parched, we guzzle the water, man. We might take some Motrin or Tylenol uh, for headaches. We might take some Dramamine or something for nausea. We might try to take these medications to combat the feelings that we have with the hangover. But man, water. And I would just drink one after another in the morning to make up for all the beers that I drank, alcohol that I drank, because I wasn't just a beer drinker. I drank whiskey, I drank bourbon, I would drink wine sometimes too. It just depended on my mood, on the day or whatever. But primarily, I would say 90% of the time was beer. But I like to mix, and mixing is another whole thing. I mean, that can be a problem in and of itself, mixing alcohols. Um, and I don't know what the truth is, and the fact that if you drink beer before liquor, you're never or beer before liquor, you're never sicker. Um, but I would always mix it, and sometimes I would start with one first. Um, did I find out the primary cause of my drinking? Um, I mean, I went to therapy. I started therapy on the second week that I quit drinking. It was like day 8, and that was the longest, like I said, that I ever went without alcohol. But leading up to that therapy visit, I read 2 books. I joined a group, and I started talking to my wife when I was having urges to drink. And I always had somebody there to talk to. And then when I went to therapy, I told my therapist, I'm drinking after this session. And he kind of talked me out of it, gave me some tips and pointers on what to do. Um, and I can go into detail about that, but I've talked about that in a few of my videos. But um, when I got home, I decided I didn't want to drink, and then I went the next week without drinking, and I had my visit with my therapist, and he was just kind of as shocked as I was that I didn't drink it, and that I hadn't drank that. So I made it to the longest time that I ever was sober from the age of 19 on. Um, so I was on like 2 weeks sober when I had my second therapy visit, and he said, having that therapy, that first visit, could have been kind of triggering. You're talking about things that are vulnerable for you, and talking through these things can be stressful, can be triggering, especially if there's trauma involved. And I mean, I knew that I had trauma, and I knew that I had unresolved issues. I mean, because I was ruminating about things that happened to me as a teenager. Um, so for 30 years, I would replay these things in my mind about when I was younger, and wish that I did this differently or that differently, or um, but my therapist, he would be the voice that I needed to hear when I would bounce those things off him, because he would say, you didn't make that decision because you're a good person. And that blew my mind a little bit. It's because, you know what, I thought about some of the decisions I made when I was younger and why I didn't choose the way that I chose. But you know what, it was because I was super safe. um I was always kind of like, I mean, I took risks, uh but I at the same time, I they were really calculated risks. And but sometimes the drinking would make me take risks that I wouldn't normally make. But as far as when alcohol was not involved, I was a super self-conscious person, very in my shell, very not wanting to open up to people. Um, so in that regard, yeah, I can't. I mean, there was a lot of things. There were a lot of things that I needed to work through, and that was just one of them. Um, and I was able to work through that. Yeah, for in the first 6 months of therapy, I was on medication. I was already on medication, but quitting drinking helped that. It made the medication I was taking more effective. And I was on the medication for about 6 months. I was in therapy for about 6 months after I quit drinking. And between all of that and my group and everything else, I was able to, yeah, come to terms and figure out what it was that was why I was drinking. And drinking was just kind of a symptom of a bigger problem, which was my mental health. And I needed to fix that. Um, as long as you're aware of the reasons why you drink, then that is half the battle. No need to disclose anything. Um, yeah, I mean, I've made a lot of videos about this stuff. Um, hey, Cindy, and talking about this stuff. So I don't go into, I mean, I do go into detail, but I mean, I don't go into very specific detail, just because of anonymity. I don't want to call anyone particularly out from my past or my present. I certainly don't want to divulge too much information that's going to hurt me, in my life and my job and things like that. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'm an open book because I mean, I think it's important um, to find. Like, I had someone the other day tell me uh, just how much one of the videos I made resonated. Oh, it was I went 4 months with like a 15 pack of beer in my fridge, basically all summer, and it was usually my regular drink that I would drink daily, or at least most days. Um, but it was also a drink that I didn't love it, but it wasn't expensive, but it got the job done. But but that was the beer that was in my fridge for 4 months, and I had added a couple different beers in because we had a graduation party, that we were going to be having at our house for one of our kids, and I bought a couple beers that were really my favorites. And after that party, I did end up uh, dumping those beers because they were triggering for me. Uh, One of them was Bell's Oberon, uh, and I think that was the primary one. But it's like an orangey drink. It's like a beer that's made here in Michigan, and it's a big thing here in Michigan. But it gets you pretty wrecked because it's pretty high alcohol percentage. It's also pretty high in calories. It's like a wheat beer, so I mean it makes you fat. Um, but yeah, I had urges to drink those, so I dumped them out like a couple days after the party was over, and only a few people drank them. So I think I bought like a 12 pack, and there was still maybe like 8 or 9 in there. So I dumped those all out. But that beer was in my fridge for like 4 months. Uh, the Miller Lite, and I ended up dumping it all out, and I felt like there was a reason why they were in there, and I didn't drink them, and I think that was because I didn't want them. And when I had urges to drink, I really just looked to talk it out rather than drink it out. You know what I mean? And that really helped. Um, yeah, I mean it. I don't there. Like I said, I had some favorites. I didn't buy them all the time because they were more money than I wanted to spend on a regular basis. Um, but I liked Guinness. I liked Maker's Mark. I liked those were like my two go tos. Oberon. I like Jameson whiskey. Those were my favorites. I like to have red wine sometimes, and but yeah, those were the ones that I really wanted to reach for. But anyway, I dumped out all those beers after 4 months, and for the months leading up to that, I thought, I might feel like I want to take these cans of beer and throw one after another at a brick wall and watch them explode. because I was that angry and bitter over alcohol. And it was more or less like, I got to the point where I wasn't even mad anymore. And I think it took 4 months of sobriety to feel that way, at least 3 months. So I just dumped them out in the sink, put them in the recycling, and left it at that. And that member said, I'm going to dump out the beer that's been he said he had 70 beers in his garage, in his fridge. He's been sober. I think he said he had been sober for like 2 months. And he said, I'm going to dump those out. And man, that felt good to hear that, like these comments like that and comments you guys make, they are huge, and they really help solidify in my mind that doing this channel and making these videos is what I'm supposed to be doing. And just that one thing from that one video impacted somebody and changed their perception of things. So that's huge. And so, yeah, that's really all I wanted to talk about today. I gotta go. I have an appointment and I got work today. But if there's anything you guys want to talk about, I'm going to be making a video about this particular topic, and put it out on Sunday when I have time, either before work today or tomorrow. And so if you guys have any thoughts on it, please let me know. Some of these, yeah, some of these thoughts are good, and just talking it out is helpful. So thank you all for being here. And yeah, I'll catch up with you on Monday on another live stream at 10 a.m. Check for my video on Sunday. If you haven't hit that little notification bell, hit that. You'll get a notification when my video pops up. Those are Wednesdays and Sundays. Please like and subscribe. Keep on coming, and we'll keep on living this life, living this sober life, alcohol-free life, whatever you want to call it. And I'm glad that you're all here. So have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend. If you need any help, please reach out. Also on my Facebook group, I always forget to mention that, but I got a private group on Facebook. The link is pinned in all my videos, so check that out. And if you need anything, let me know. Let us know. We can help. So have a great weekend, everybody, and stay safe, stay sober.